Good evening, and welcome to Grow with IPED. This program comes to you with the kind compliments of the Institute of Private Enterprise Development. IPED, everywhere in Guyana for everyone in Guyana. I am Carlotta Budi, and I thank you for joining us this evening. At IPED, our vision is to improve livelihoods by building sustainable, and that's a very important word there, sustainable micro and small enterprises. Additionally, we provide business guidance, technical assistance, and loans. So this evening I have with me in the studio Miss Diane Lewis Baxter. She's the Public Relations Officer at the National Insurance Scheme. We're going to talk this evening about NIS and the entrepreneur. So good evening, Miss Lewis Baxter, and welcome to Grow with IPED.
Good evening, Carlotta, and it's good to be on the program after a long
I
time.
know we've done this some years ago, many moons
Yes.
ago, but I'm happy to have you here. One of the things that I feel in my interaction with entrepreneurs that they do not necessarily see the benefit of registering with the National Insurance Scheme. And so we want to talk about first, what is the National Insurance Scheme?
Okay, basically, we are a social security scheme and we offer protection for persons when they are unable to earn. And more specifically for the self employed persons, I always like to say many times the self employed, they have the notion that, I don't need social insurance. I don't need any protection from anybody. I will put my money in a bank account, and once I have my money in my bank account, I feel comfortable. But what NIS does for a person, let's say that person gets sick, that person can go to the doctor. Let's look at sick leave first of all. So I'm not working. I'm unable to earn because I'm not working. I don't have someone else working with me. I manage my own business by myself. I have no employees, and so I am sick. And whilst I am sick, I can get a medical. Submit it to NIS. NIS will pay me for those days that I'm away from work. Secondly, if I have my medical care, so the expenses associated with my condition, NIS can reimburse me for that as well.
Yeah, because you see, our entrepreneurs, and you just made that point, they work, the business is their livelihood.
That's right.
And they are very dependent on that business. But there's so many risks in a dynamic business environment that I'm thinking one way to mitigate that risk, there's a way.
There's a way.
That is the NIS. So you're saying I'm sick, I run my business and I'm sick.
Yes.
And I need to close for the day. I can still be paid for that day, even though I'm not making sales that day.
Well, not a day. We have, of course, we have the required the qualifications and so on. But yes, if you're sick, you're unable to work, NIS will definitely pay you once you read the requirements. Of course, we have the requirements in terms of what it is you need to do to qualify.
So how can an entrepreneur, a micro business person or a small business person, they're operating as what we call a sole trader, right? How can they benefit? What are the steps?
Okay, so the first thing would be for you to come in. They can come in and talk to any of our compliance staff at any of the locations that we have. We have locations throughout the length and breadth of Guyana with the exception of Maggio. We don't have a physical presence at Maggio as yet, I should say, but the persons who are from Maggio, the Georgetown office, will serve those persons.
Okay, so they must come in. Can they call and
Or
talk on the phone?
they can call, yes. Well, we know we have so many other options now.
Right, so people
in
don't necessarily have
terms
to come
of-
to the
right,
office.
So you don't have to, you can
Because
call.
sometimes our business people are so busy making a living, like they seem unable to carve up a little time for self-care, and it's a self-care.
Yes.
So they can call you or they can come into the office,
Yes.
and because they're micro business or a small business, they have to speak with a compliance officer?
Yes, any business that is seeking to be registered.
Any business, okay.
Must come through the compliance section.
Okay.
And so they will advise them in terms of what are the documents they need to bring if the business is registered. Not all businesses are registered, because if I have a real small business, some people don't necessarily at that stage have a business registered. So if you have that business registration, yes, we will work with that. If you don't have it, fine, you can still be registered.
Oh, this is
as a
great. This
self-employed
is great. You
person.
can remember, if you're a self-employed person, and even for IPED, people come for a loan and they say, "Well, I don't have a business registration." We work with people because they're doing something in their homes, or
Yes.
however they're doing this
Seamstress.
business, right?
Somebody maybe baking cookies and just
yes,
packaging to
yes,
you know,
selling
yes.
icicles and stuff like
Icicles,
that.
exactly.
But it's a business,
It's
and
a
as
business.
doing plantain chips, and they make
It's
money.
a business, yes.
So whether you have a business registration or not, you can still approach NIS compliance section.
Yes, and that's at any one of our locations.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the documents, well, we do have the application form.
Is
and
it online?
It is online.
Okay, good.
Right, so it's an application for self-employed registration, and they can download that. Of course, we would need that physical form. We're not accepting it online as yet. So we would need the physical registration form to be sent in to us, or when the person gets time. Or our compliance officers are really field officers. And so once the information is given in terms of your location, that officer will sure to visit you
And help you to fill
and
it up?
assist you to complete the form. So
Okay.
it's a simple process. So we ask you to have present if you have an NIS card, because that person may have been working
Before, right.
with an employer and may have been registered.
So you keep the same number?
The same number, ID card, so that we do the verification, and the birth certificate.
Oh,
So we do the necessary verification of your names and so on when we complete that new registration. So what will happen there is that we change your status from employed to self-employed.
Okay.
So that's what you're doing. Then, based on, you, of course, will have to say what your income is. And so based on that declaration, you usually pay 12.5% of that.
tell me something. Would it be a continuation? So, like, somebody is employed and they have the full benefits that's necessary, the contributions,
Yes.
right? Now, and they've now become self-employed. Is that continue to be added, or is that something separate?
Yes, ma'am, it's added. It's added, and whatever benefits you were claiming for. So let's say someone has a chronic condition, someone is a diabetic, for instance, and that person needs to get their medication, if it's monthly or every other month, whatever the case may be. And there was a downtime, so the person stopped working, and maybe 2 months has elapsed, but the person is now has now registered to be a self-employed person. That person can still claim for their medication, even though during the period when they were not paying NIS.
Okay.
Because we would have already had that condition registered, and we have the person's history. So once you claim one time, it would be for life.
Oh, really?
So that's some of the things that self-employed people need to know as well.
Oh, right,
Yes.
right. This is
Yes.
good. So we come into the office, you fill your form,
Yes, the
and
application
the
form.
application form.
Yes.
And what happens?
Okay, so after you would have completed the application form, the form, of course, would definitely have to be processed.
Of course, yes.
So you would be advised in terms of, like I said, you have to declare what your income is, and based on that, the inspector will advise you. This is how much you need to pay. At some of the offices, it depends on the size of the office. You might be able to do it the same day. In other instances, like in Georgetown, for instance, the application form is processed at another location.
Okay.
So at our records section. So that may take about a week or so, and then you would be able to make that first payment.
Oh,
Yes.
It seems rather simple.
Yes, it is very, very
3
straightforward.
documents.
Very straightforward.
So let's talk. Let me go back to that. 3 documents.
Yes.
Your NIS card, if you do have one, your
ID card.
ID card, and your birth certificate.
Yes.
Let us say you've never paid NIS before.
Okay, it's the same documents.
Just, but now they will give you a card.
Yes, we will
So just
issue you
two
with a card.
documents now that
Yes.
you're going to come
Right,
with.
the two with the exception of the NIS. Well,
Right,
the NIS card, but a blank one that
right,
you will sign this time.
right,
So
right,
you would
right.
need to sign that blank card so that we can prepare a NIS card for you.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
So let's talk again about benefits. Now we are registered as a self employed person. Let's talk benefits.
Okay, well, the self-employed person is basically entitled to 6 benefits, and those benefits fall under the long-term and the short-term benefits.
Okay.
They are not covered on the industrial because industrial is exactly what it says, work-related, and in the case of the employed person, there is somebody that has to verify
Right.
that indeed you suffered an accident on the job,
on
an
the job.
incident, whatever the case may be. This is not to say that a self-employed person would not suffer an accident on his or her job, but those persons are covered under sickness. Why? I'm working with myself. I'm a butcher, for instance. I chop a finger. There's nobody to say how that happened. Who will give the statement? And so I will be given another umbrella, I like to call it, called sickness benefit. And so you will be covered under that. The other thing about this benefit is that the self-employed persons, they do not pay for industrial.
Okay.
And so there is a difference between the amount in terms of the overall percentage that is paid for the self-employed and the employed person. For the self-employed, it's a total of 12.5%. And of course, that the person is responsible for paying that. For the employed person, it is 14%. And the difference is 1.5, and that's exactly what covers industrial. Right? So we don't allow them to pay for it because for the same reason that I would have mentioned before.
Right.
Right? So they would be covered under sickness. So we have sickness, you have maternity, we have that's for the short term sickness and maternity. Under the long term, old age, invalidity, survivors, and of course we have funeral benefit. So those are the benefits that they're entitled to. Yes.
I wanted to ask you about the ceiling. I know as an employed person, there's a ceiling. If the person is self-employed, you remember you said the person will need to declare this is my income.
Yes.
Do you still have that ceiling
Yes.
for the self-employed?
Yes, it's 280,000. Right? So if I am earning, I'm doing really well as a self-employed person, and I'm earning $1 million per month, for instance, I don't need to pay NIS on that. NIS will only cover me for up to 280, and that's a general ceiling. It applies for the self-employed as well as the employed person. So that's the ceiling, that's the amount. So it's 12.5% of that. Anything that falls below the ceiling, you would actually pay. So my earnings are $100,000 per month. I will pay 12.5% of $100,000.
Okay. So they're declaring 500,000, but they're paying 280, or they
280.
just declare up to 280?
No, they declare
whole-
what it is.
whatever it
Yes,
is.
yes.
All right.
And the stats are also needed for when we're making projections. So we usually ask them to declare the correct income so that we can have that information. Yes.
All right, yeah.
But you know, one of the things that I really want to talk about also is the fact that as a self-employed and even an employed person, so many things are happening in Guyana, and people are tendering all the time for different types of jobs. Guyanese are really talented.
Of course.
And and so as part of the tender process, they do need to have what is called a compliance certificate. And so if you come to NIS at any given time, any day of the week, you will see most of the persons coming to the compliance section now are coming to request a compliance certificate. We have for a person like me, let's say I am employed and I want to tender, I can also have what is called, I will come and say I want a compliance certificate, but what NIS will give me is a letter of non-liability. So the self-employed person who is working for himself, of course, is coming to apply for a compliance certificate. It's not registered, never paid NIS. What we would encourage the person to do is to be registered, or in the first instance, we may give them that letter of non-liability.
Okay.
So the next time they're coming again, and they come and they say, well, you know, I want to apply for a compliance certificate, we will encourage them to be registered. So we'll give them that application form, and we give what is called a temporary compliance certificate. Now, the temporary compliance certificate is valid for 3 months, and it's given to any person who comes to apply as a self-employed person.
So,
Yes.
sorry. What we'll do, we'll take a break and we'll come back and talk about this compliance certificate because, like you said, we're having with the oil industry and lots of businesses opening up and lots of services being required. We notice that there's a new people are more and more people are tendering for jobs and so on,
Yes.
and a lot of self-employed people people are coming in for money to start up. And so I want to talk a little bit more about that. So please enjoy some music. It's an opportunity to get up and to move a little bit. 3 minutes, movement is important.
Yes.
Enjoy the music, and we will be right back here on Grow with IPED.
Yes, Guyana to the world. Your boy Anil Aziz. Alongside me is Rapana. Hey, hey.
She is a beauty, beautiful Guyana, with wonderful people all over this country. She is a beauty, beautiful Guyana, with wonderful people all over this country.
Listen up, everybody, come and see Guyana. The river flow through the land of waters. The single drop fall from the Cairo top. Let me take you back to the gold shot. Flying high in the sky, let the whole world see. Let the whole world see. Let the whole world see. Green, red, yellow, black and white's the place to be. The place to be. The place to be.
One Guyana with many flavor, 6 different people blended together. Raise your flag high in unity, we're family with one destiny. Raise your flag high in unity, we're family with one destiny. She is a beauty, beautiful Guyana, with wonderful people all over this country. She is a beauty, beautiful Guyana, with wonderful people all over this country.
We're all God's creation, the children of the nation. We can make a difference with high expectation. Rap and I hit to say, people lead the way. You and I are the future and we're here to stay. Flying high in the sky, let the whole world see. Let the whole world see. Let the whole world see. Green, red, yellow, black and white, the place to be. The place to be. The place to be.
Linden to Georgetown, Barbies to West Coast, Essequibo to Baltica, have rice and flour. We can leg one cow island, hard-working people in plantation. We can leg one cow island, hard-working people in plantation. She is a beauty, beautiful Guyana, with wonderful people all over this country. She is a beauty, beautiful Guyana, with wonderful people all over this country. With wonderful people all over this country. With wonderful people all over this country.
Hey, hey.
IPED, everywhere in Guyana for everyone in Guyana. Welcome back to Grow with IPED. We are here to partner with you to see your business go and grow. So if you have a business idea, then you can turn into a business venture, IPED is for you. So you can go. And if you're considering expansion, then IPED is also for you so that you can grow. Call us for an appointment. Remember, you don't need to come to the office. You may speak to a business counselor on WhatsApp. We have two numbers, 608-4096 and 608-8920. Just WhatsApp us and we will call you back. You know, issues with credit, it's not a problem. Send us a quick text and we will do the calling so that we can talk to you about how we can partner with you. Remember, all our micro and youth loans are uncollateralized. That is, you don't need to bring or to pledge something that's tangible or valuable. We look at your character. Remember, we talk a lot about credit rating, and we look at the business's capacity to repay. So you can access up to 2 million Guyana dollars to start or to expand your business, and we do not require you to have any collateral, right? So you don't need a business plan either. You can talk to us and we will help you to formulate that plan and analyze the venture to ensure that it is a sound one. So any legal business idea that you have, we can fund it. If you're in Region 3, our Parika office is open on Sunday. So you can call Parika's office or you can go into Parika's office. Mr. Lakeram and his team, they are there, 603-9034, 603-9034. So you can call him for the information and also ask him when we're visiting Bartica and the environs, because all the offices work from Monday to Friday from 8 to 4, but Parika, they have a totally different schedule. They don't work on a Wednesday, they open on Sunday. And those same people in Parika, they service our Region 7 office in Bartica. They're not there every day, so ask him when he is going to be there. I still have Miss Lois Baxter in the studio with me, and we're going to continue this discussion very briefly, though, on NIS and the entrepreneur. Before we went to break, we were talking about a compliance certificate. Let's go back to that, please.
Yes, Carla. As I was saying, the person, a self-employed person, regardless of their status with NIS. So I'm ready. The person comes into NIS. We ask them to be registered, but the person hasn't paid anything as yet. Once a compliance certificate, that is possible.
Okay.
We will issue what is called a temporary compliance certificate that is valid for 3 months. Right? So 3 months, that compliance certificate is valid for. And of course, if that person, within that time, we would expect that persons would try to at least sort themselves out. Sometimes the person doesn't get the job and they come back again another time. And there are times when, of course, given the circumstances, we would have issued another compliance certificate. But the idea is that persons will not just uplift the compliance certificate, but seek to ensure that they are covered by the National Insurance Scheme.
Let us talk a little bit about why a compliance certificate is necessary. Some people don't understand that concept.
Okay, well, I'm told it's part of the requirement for tendering, for the tendering process.
Yes.
Right? So part of that requirement is a compliance certificate from NIS as well as GRA.
Yes.
And some persons feel because they may not be paying, sometimes they feel because I'm now starting up and I haven't paid anything as yet, I wouldn't be eligible. But that's not the case. So they can come into us. We will issue them with that temporary compliance certificate that costs just 1,000 Guyana dollars.
And how many days?
It takes 2 to 3 working days to
2
get
to 3
it.
working days to do it.
Yes.
And you can go into, again, any of the offices.
Yeah, any of the offices. You don't have to, wherever you're operating your business, that's where the certificate is
And what
issued.
should you take with you? Documents? Do you?
Okay, NIS card, ID
If you
card,
have
if you
one.
have. Yes, if you don't, well, they would facilitate you filling out the form and so on. And And then because on the compliance certificate, a number is required. So you must have that registration completed so that we can assign a number to you.
Okay.
So then we issue the compliance certificate.
So the same 3 documents then, because you
Yes.
need to be
Yes.
registered.
Yes.
So if you have your birth certificate and your ID card.
Yes, some people walk with their TIN certificate if they do
TIN
have
certificate
one. If they
as
have
well.
one. It's not necessarily a legal requirement by NIS, but if they have one, they walk, just to back up what it is they're saying. Yes.
Great. That's good information to know, because I always thought for you to have a compliance, you'd have had to be paying NIS.
Oh,
so
not
now
for the
you're saying
first.
you just need to come register.
Yes. Yeah, in the first instance.
Uh-huh.
Because remember, this might just be somebody now starting up. Yes, we have the, that's just one type, because it's basically 3 types. We have the temporary, we have the standard, and then we have the trusted traders.
Oh.
The standard is for 1 year. The trusted trader lasts for 3 years, and that's for the larger companies that are complying, doing everything, paying for all of their employees, paying on time, don't have any queries in the system, and so on. The standard, it's similar to the trusted in terms of the requirement, but you might have maybe something where you probably have some queries, but you are prompt with your payments and you're paying for everyone, but you may have queries maybe with your claims, and so we may flex and give it. We examine it to see whether you're submitting electronically, because we have a list of requirements as well that we have put in place to ensure that employers are complying and doing the right thing. Right? So the employer must be fully complying with the requirements so that their employees could be covered.
Great. I really appreciate the time you're spending here to talk to our clients and Guyana as a whole, whoever is listening to the program. At least you're sharing some very important information. But I appeal to our clients. This is something that is beneficial to you. If you would register, it's not a requirement of IPED, but we see how this can benefit in terms of sickness.
Yes.
Really, you get
And
to
maternity.
your maternity benefits.
Yes.
If you are a self-employed person, a micro or a small business, please reach out to NIS, call them this week and talk about how you can register. You can walk into any office with 2 or 3 documents. If you already are registered as NIS, paid in the past, or currently paying, you can walk with that card, walk with your ID card, and also please walk with your birth certificate. NIS is a real benefit for all micro and small businesses. If you are self-employed, this is one way to mitigate some of your risks, right?
Death of a breadwinner, very important. We cover for that. Old age.
Yeah.
Old age is something that, sometimes because we're young, we don't necessarily think we would stay young all the time. But we have to cater for our old age. And so we pay pensions. And
You
we
pay
have
pensions.
almost, in terms of with survivors and old age pensioners, roughly 60,000 persons.
Wow.
Yes, who smile every month because they can be sure of getting, no less than $35,000 per month.
No less.
Yeah, that's for our old
Yeah,
age
and the people at the
pensioners.
ceiling, those people who
Yes.
paid 280 or whatever that was.
Yes, they're getting $200,000+.
And it's very
Every month,
important.
tax-free.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life.
Yes.
And we're hoping to live a long life. All right. As we come to the end of the program, we are really appreciative of your time and the information you have shared with us. And I want to remind you, our clients, valued clients, that your installments should be paid on time so you can protect your credit rating. I say all the time that in Guyana, we now have a credit bureau. We've had it for a while. And it doesn't matter where you go for credit, they run that credit report to check your credit score. And so if you pay your installments on time, you are in fact protecting your credit rating, that score. Now you need to pay at any office, any of IPED's office or any of the bill payment offices. MMG, stay right where you are and pay your installments with MMG. Safety continues to be very important to us at IPED. We still ask that you wear a mask when you come into the office, and we still have our wash basins or sinks at the front of the building with soap and with paper towels so that you can wash your hands when you're ready to come in with your mask to do business with us. Once again, I thank you so much for joining me and spending this moment with me here on Grow with IPED. This program will be rebroadcast on Channel 9 on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Please visit and like our Facebook page. We had a very nice page and something went wrong and we started to build it again. So we need a lot more likes. I'm, shamelessly asking you to like our page. IPED Institute of Private Enterprise Development on Facebook. And then our website, www.ipedgy.com. And then next week, please join us again right here on NCN. Channel 11, Friday at 7:30 for another program of Grow with IPED. Let me remind you to get going, keep growing with IPED. Good night.